People of YouTube, hello and welcome to another episode of DayZ Diary, which isn't strictly an episode of my DayZ Diary. That's why it's called 3B and not 4. So last time I was talking about how deathly afraid I was to go into the town hall, the tower in Novodimitrovsk. And this video is supposed to illustrate that point further. So to show you why exactly I felt the way I felt and why I was talking about the, being afraid of snipers, etc., etc. Yeah, I'm gonna let it roll in a second. You're gonna see me looking at the tower. This is a different character, and it's on a regular server. So it's a different situation, same location, and I will try to explain what's going on as it happens. I'm in an apartment building in Novodimitrovsk, looking at the tower. You can see the tower there in the distance, and I have a Mosin with a long-range scope. I'm on a 40 people server. And I'm looking at the tower, as you can see, because I thought, hey, on a server like this, must be someone there. Let's see if we can take shots. And as I start watching it, you can see a person right there, and he disappears immediately. There was a glimpse of him in that window. This is the distance, this is where I am on the left, and on the right is the tower itself. And according to the map, it's about 210 meters, give or take, I guess, 10 or 20 meters. And the Mosin is supposed to be, I can't see on the video right now, but it's supposed to be zeroed in on 200 meters, which is the default zeroing for I think Mosin on the with a long range scope, if I'm not mistaken. So the guy disappeared after I saw him, and he could have gone down, obviously, but I decided to wait for a little bit and see if he would come out again. This is gonna be running in real time, apart from one moment where there's a bit of slow-mo, but I didn't cut anything out. The only part you didn't see was before I got onto the balcony, I secured the building I was in, and I secured the surroundings. By secured, I mean I checked if there was anyone lurking there after I loaded into the server. But I cut that part out. But starting from where I lie down on the balcony and start looking in that direction, all the way to the very end of the video, it's minus the slow-mo. It's going to be in real time. Now, I know that people hate snipers a lot, and I don't really enjoy getting sniped at either, and that's why I'm always so very paranoid. And so I was talking about being afraid to go up there last time in the last episode of the FWG's diary, if you saw that one. But it does take a certain skill to execute stuff well, depending on obviously depending on how far away you are. If like 10 meters away, it's not that hard to hit someone. But you are 200 or more meters away, it does take a little bit of skill, because for example, you can see how this thing is swaying around. If the person actually has the time to move after you shoot, and you'll see an example of that in this video as well. And plus, Mosin is very, very loud. So anyone probably within 200 meters would hear you use the weapon. If not more, maybe 300 meters would hear that. If it's not raining, obviously. If it's raining, the rain would dampen the sound a little bit. So I don't see the guy anymore here, and I'm kind of looking around, see if maybe anyone else is there. Also being mindful that someone may be looking my way as I'm looking their way. I'm obviously not necessarily the only one with a long-range scope in Chernarus, and checking the hills there, just to make sure that no one is looking my way from the hills, not necessarily from the building. Our friend is nowhere to be seen, and at this point I think I was already thinking that maybe he's disappeared. Oh, there he is. But he was still there. He was just busy on the other side of the building. And it's very important when you take the shot. You can't really just kind of open up, because the reload time is huge. You miss your first shot, you may be dead in the next 5 minutes. Someone else could hear you, or the person could realize where you're shooting them from and try to find you and hunt you down. Now, I see him a lot in the next 2 minutes, I think, or 1 minute. But none of those moments I thought were good enough to take a shot. For one thing, there's a lot of cover there. I miss, and I will never see him again, probably. And he will know that someone's after him, so he will hide. He could even combat log. That possibly could have been a shot there, but again, if I miss once, then I may never see that guy again. So I decided to wait for him to go upstairs. And see, again, it's not guaranteed that he would go all the way to the top, but he seemed to be moving that direction. So I took the reasonable risk of letting him run all the way up. Now, so far, that guy hasn't really done anything necessarily wrong. He can't really see me from there unless he has binocs or a long-range scope of his own, and he, decides to check the area. So I'm waiting for him to come for this door, which leads further up, because that's when he is going to be most vulnerable. And he comes, comes out, but he comes. It makes a slight mistake of coming this way around as opposed to the other way around, and gives me a bit more chance to shoot him, which I take. That's 3 shots. He passes out. I'm trying to make sure that he doesn't get up. And if he does, I'll shoot him again. I think he's about to die. When he dies, he drops his stuff, so it'll be a little... There you go. That's death. And this is the slow-mo version with zoomed in perspective. That goes to the chest. The first one, as far as I can tell anyway. And he either glitches out or there's some sort of desync. He tries to go for the door and either server transports him back, or I see one thing, he sees another. Not entirely sure. The next one, I think, misses, as far as I can tell. Or maybe goes through his backpack. But there is no new wound on him. In a second, you'll see that. He's still bleeding from the same one. Through his chest, which is no minor thing. That one, however, I think goes through his arm. Because when he's running now, you can see he's bleeding from 2 points. His arm and his torso. And he goes down. And as I was saying, he didn't really do anything necessarily super wrong. He could have gone from the other side. I still would have taken that shot, but I would have less time to prepare and slightly higher chance that I would have missed. But this is why I was so terrified of snipers when I went all the way up there in the last video. Now I'm about to do a rather silly thing, or, at the very least be as reckless as the guy I just killed. I am about to go there and get his loot. Which is something probably a lot of the people sniping do not really attempt to do. For one thing, he could have his friends there. Could be some completely other random people there. Could be someone nearby these apartment buildings, looking, waiting for me to come down or trying to find me. But you'll get the chance to see also how far this is, since I'm going to be running all the way from my apartment building to the tower in the distance over there. And you'll get the sense of the distance that the bullet had to travel to hit the guy twice. Or bullets, rather. There was a car, the boot of the car was open, so he may have been looting that. This is closed, which to me suggests that he entered from the front, but obviously could have just closed it after himself. I switch here to my revolver, because Mosin isn't a very nice weapon for a close quarters fighting. The door is open over there, so again, it suggests that he came through here. I do sort of minimal security on the ground floor, just to make sure no one's here. Either his friends or other random people. This is a full server, as I think I mentioned before. So, it behooves one to be careful. I'm not checking, you can see that I'm not checking those other landings. The reason for that is that someone who, you know, if someone was actually there now, they would have to be very silly to go up all the way to the top, knowing that someone is shooting at the building. So I just assumed that no one would be stupid enough to do that, and hence, since I didn't meet them downstairs, they were most likely not there. Now, me getting out the revolver here again is quite silly. I don't know why exactly I did that. That was, and also useless. In a second, you'll be able to see where I was shooting from. It's the building on the right side behind the brick building. I am gonna get my scope and show you the balcony I was shooting from, which is not that one, the one on the right there in the center. It's very hard to see, even with optics, very hard to see someone sitting there. Hence, me being always paranoid that there are snipers watching and waiting, just like I was. Obviously, DayZ couldn't just let me have it, so as I was trying to get rid of this weapon, the game glitched out in the most convenient way, in the most convenient moment, and I got stuck in the throwing animation. And couldn't really get unstuck on the roof where I just killed a guy in one of the most exposed places probably in Chernarus. There I am, not really caring, holding an invisible gun in my hand on top of the tallest building in the country. But they got fixed, it's okay. And I crawled through the guy's body for a little bit, you know, just because why not? The reason his weapons are away from, sort of on the ground away from him, is because this is already after the ragdoll has been implemented on the stable branch. So they fell apart, like fell separately from him. This is what happens now with the ragdoll. And my visit here wasn't in vain, because I got a Longhorn. It's a quite rare rifle, and I treat it more as a toy rather than an actual effective weapon, at least until they fix its long-range capabilities, because up to 200-300 maybe meters it's effective, and beyond that Longhorn isn't really very good. But it has the same, I think it has the same long-range scope basically that Mosin has, maybe, or slightly less. Oh no, it's like Mosin's scope but without the zoom, something like that I think. So it's a bit less less effective, even if it were shooting straight, less effective at range than Mosin would be. But yeah, it's a fun toy to have. As I mentioned before, this is the place that you're probably one of the most vulnerable positions that you can be in Chernarus as well, because you're coming down this thing in a very popular place. So I immediately get my gun out, and not without reason, because hello! It's a bit of a bonus part in this video. I think he said, "Whoa man, don't shoot," and then he came out after me with his fists up. I couldn't see the animation, but I think he did hit me once. But because I was shooting him at the same time, the animation didn't work, and I couldn't loot his body because of ragdoll glitching out, I think. But it didn't seem like he would have much anyway. But, you know, he was wearing a tracksuit top, so either way, he deserved to die. There are no more alarms and surprises in this video. This is it. I just left it to run in real time, just to make you feel how long it takes to, or how long it took to do this particular kill, and then loot, and then come down from there. And the only thing, obviously there's no music or anything extra sounds in the video besides my commentary. The only thing that's missing is probably my heart pounding throughout the 15 minutes that this was going on which is a shame that you can't really, I guess, I don't know, or maybe it would be a bit tacky to have your heartbeat in the game, but I was, there was a huge adrenaline rush even, you know, to do that, even though I was relatively safe being far away from the target. I was also very, very loud, and if he were not alone there, for example, then I would have joined him in death, most likely. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was, as I said previously, an illustration of why I am always paranoid about getting shot from a distance. And if you did enjoy, please consider supporting it in any way you can. And I'll see you next time. Bye.